Hi everyone, my name's Scott. I'm one of two guys who've created Rentabyl. So Rentabyl is a platform that allows you to rent out Decentraland land and estates and for other people to rent them out and be able to deploy to them. So in this video, what I want to be able to do is just to give a quick overview of why Rentabyl, why we created it, and then also go through an end-to-end process from a landlord's perspective and then also the renter or the tenant's perspective. So from the landlord's point of view, the benefits of renting are that you basically get to keep your land, but you're able to generate an income from it. So for many landowners in Decentraland, they have land, they hold it, but they don't necessarily have ideas for or want to develop things on it necessarily. So they're holding it, but they're not doing much with it. So this really gives them an opportunity to um, allow other people to develop on their land and they can generate an income from it and they can also improve the value of their land. So from a tenant's point of view, it's a similar kind of thing in that all the land now has been taken. So if you're someone who's a builder or an artist or someone who wants to use Decentraland or experiment with Decentraland to try and try something out, your only way of doing that at the moment is to purchase some land, and then that land may not be where you would like it to be, and that's quite a high upfront cost. So what renting allows the builders and the artists and people with the ideas the opportunity to do is to get access to land so they can deploy onto land, but without the massive upfront costs. And so this whole process then is tied up within a smart contract that basically automates the whole process. So we'll go through that now. So at a high level, the first step is the landlord creates the lease. That goes onto the marketplace. Then a user accepts the lease terms and then they will pay 1 month plus the deposit. As soon as they accept the lease terms, they then have the ability to deploy to the land. So the tenant doesn't have access to the land except for the operator permissions. So they are able to deploy to the land, but the landlord still owns the land. So there's no risk on the landlord's side that they're going to lose their land or that the platform will give it away. We're not, when you go through this process, all the platform is doing is automating the setting of the operator permission and then removing it again. So the tenant or the renter basically just accepts the terms and then they're given the automate operator permissions by the contract and they can pretty much just start deploying onto that land then. And then they are paying a monthly rent then to maintain access to that land for the period of the lease. So as long as they're paying as maybe the lease terms maybe 3 months. So as long as they're paying each month, they're able to maintain access to that land and to continue to deploy onto it. Okay, so now we're going to go through the process for a landlord to create a lease. So if I click on My Land, there's a tab at the top or option at the top that you can toggle between viewing your parcels. So at the moment it's showing the parcels on my account and my estates. So I'm going to select parcels and then under one of those, create lease. Now, the thing that I've already done here that you'd need to do is to authorize the platform. So authorization of the platform only needs to be done once, and all that's doing is allowing you giving permission for the smart contract, so the Rentabyl smart contract, to be able to change the operator on your land. So it doesn't change anything about, there's no transfer of ownership, there's no permission to do any kind of transfers or anything like that. It's really just giving permission for us to be able to change the operator. Okay, so first thing then is the lease amount. I'm going to put in 150, and the rent token is mana. You notice that there's a minimum rent there that you have to be above. Also, you can select ETH, so you can make the rent amount and the security deposit in ETH, and it also has a minimum amount. The lease length is the number of months that you'd like this lease to go for. The security deposit is the amount that the tenant needs to pay when they accept this lease, and it's held by the contract, and it will be returned to the renter if they pay all the months out successfully and the lease terms end successfully. But if the tenant doesn't pay within the grace period and the landlord terminates the lease, then the deposit will go to the landlord. And if the tenant cancels the lease early, it will go to the landlord. So that's what the security deposit is. The grace period is the number of days that the landlord allows the tenant to pay, basically, before they're in default. So if I'm a tenant and I accept the lease, 1 month later the rent is due, and in this case I would have 5 days to pay it. Auto generate is where when the lease ends, it will automatically put it back onto the market. So that's useful because it costs money to create a lease. So as a landlord, it's going to mean if you want to rent out your land for an extended period, then it just means that it will continue to be put back onto the market. Okay, so I'm going to create that lease now. Sorry, I didn't select the deposit. Or maybe we'll just say 150. Okay, so now that's created the lease. So if I go into the marketplace, so this is parcel 90, you can see that this lease that we just created is available now for somebody to come along and accept. So as a landlord, I can still, before it gets accepted, I'm still able to change these details. So if I wanted to change the lease amount, I can do that. And the length and deposit and all that kind of stuff. And then updating the lease will make those changes. You can also remove the lease. So removing the lease will mean that it's no longer on the marketplace. And that's it. So that's really all it is from a landlord's perspective to get your land and your estates onto the marketplace. The process for creating a lease for the estates is exactly the same. So now we're going to go through the process for the renter. So as you can see here, parcel 90 was the one that we just created as a landlord. First thing I'm going to do is just switch over to a different account. Okay. And now I can select View Lease. Okay. And you can see the lease information here. It goes for 3 months. I have to pay 150 mana per month. The security deposit is 150 mana, so that's a one-time cost upfront that would be returned to me if and when the the lease terms are completed successfully. The payment types matter, and the 5 days is how long I have to pay my rent before I'm overdue, and the landlord has the option to terminate it or cancel it. Okay, so first thing is I need to approve the manner, so I only need to do this once. Okay, so now you can see the approved manner button's gone. So the platform now has the ability to process payments for my rent on my behalf. So now I just need to confirm that I'm comfortable with the lease conditions and then sign the lease. So 1 month rent is 150 mana, the security deposit is 150 mana. Okay, and that's it. So now I actually have operator permissions on this parcel. So the smart contract, as soon as you accept the lease and you pay the terms, or you pay the monthly first month's rent and security deposit, the smart contract will in the background put my account as the operator. So now I would be able to go into start deploying onto this land immediately. And you can see here, these are the due dates. This is when I need to come back to Rentabyl, and there will be a button here that I can pay my rent. And on that day, from that day, I'll have 5 days to pay it. And that's it. So obviously, you just need to remember to come back and pay your rent. And if you decide that you want to cancel the lease, then you can cancel it and your security deposit will be forfeit to the landlord. Okay, that's it. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Discord. My handle is Scradley. And if there's anything else that you'd like to ask, we're looking to hear from landowners and builders or artists, anyone who's potentially interested in using the platform. Really want to have like a discussion of what you're thinking about using this platform for. Okay, thank you.